You're listening to PetLifeRadio.com.
You are listening to Lisa Smith-Putnam on Your Pets, My Dogs. Your Pets, My Dogs.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. How about wherever you are, we just say hello. Welcome to the Your Pets, My Dogs 2015 premiere season. We are excited to be here with you yet again. And I tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, leading off this season, we have Miss Victoria Stilwell. And if you don't know who she is, I'm excited to tell you all about her. But just to give you a quick heads up, I am sure you've heard her name, and many of you have seen her before on the TV show It's Me or The Dog. She's also a well-known author, and I have to tell you, Your Pet's My Dog has been a fan from way back. So, as I like to say, sit, stay, and we'll be right back with Miss Victoria Stilwell.
Listen, cat people, it's just litter. Until you realize those big boxes mean big smells, big messes, and big money. Switch to World's Best Cat Litter, the only litter with concentrated power. It guarantees less smells, less work, all with less litter. Try the small bag that lasts one cat 30 days and you'll realize it's just litter. Unless it's World's Best Cat Litter. Find it at Target, Walmart, and at your local grocery and pet stores.
It's DesignerPetSweaters.com. Hand-knitted designer sweaters for your precious pup or cool cat. Beautiful couture patterns for your pets, including custom-knitted formal wear, casual wear, yachting, and even sports-themed. Many designer pet sweaters include feathered tammy hats, top hats, and a lot of sparkle. Each sweater includes leg loops, front paw sleeves, and leash opening. Visit DesignerPetSweaters.com to order your four-legged fashions today. Large or small, we fit them all. DesignerPetSweaters.com.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Welcome back to Your Pets, My Dogs. I'm your host, Lisa Smith-Putnam, and on the line, yes, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we have Miss Victoria Stilwell. Victoria, Miss Stilwell, good morning.
Good morning.
It is so wonderful to have you join me on the Your Pets, My Dogs radio show. You just have no idea. We were bubbling around the office all week.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on. It's a real honor.
Well, I know that many people have seen you on the It's Me or Your Dogs television show, and you are also a celebrated author. But I love so many things about you, and I just want to start off by saying you weren't always in the world of animal, should we say animal behaviorist? Is that the correct phrase?
Yeah, I call myself an animal behavior expert. A behaviorist is normally reserved for people who are veterinary behaviorists, who have some background in the medical field as well, or a PhD in animal behavior. So I like to say that I'm a dog trainer and behavior expert. But no, I wasn't always this. And in fact, really, I came to dog training because it was my survival job. I was an actor, and that's what I trained to be in London. And I went to drama school in London, one of the very sort of, I would say, the very Shakespearean drama schools, and came out of that and started working as an actor, and really, really loved my job, but at the same time was also completely passionate about dogs.
I love that you say that it was kind of like your fill-in job, so to speak. It's interesting how life has its twist. You started off, as a well-trained actor, and then this other love kind of just crept in and discovered you, or you discovered it.
I think I had always had a fascination with dogs anyway. My grandmother had beagles, and I spent a lot of time with her in the countryside, and so she was a complete doggy lady. That was my grandmother. Mm-hmm. And so I think my love of dogs developed through her. We weren't allowed to have dogs, and my father didn't particularly like them. So I grew up with cats, but not with dogs. So It was really when I was when I was at university and then drama school after university, that I started my own dog sitting, dog walking company. And it was through that I started to become really fascinated with behavior, and met trainers and had a mentor, and then started studying in earnest and reading and attending lectures and seminars, and really began to educate myself, because at that time, which was quite a few years ago now.
We won't tell.
Yeah. At that time, there wasn't really a course. If you just wanted to be a dog trainer, there wasn't a course to go on. If you wanted to, become a veterinarian or go into the study of animal behavior, studying other animals, then there was plenty of courses. But to actually just be a dog trainer, there wasn't. So you really had to kind of fend for yourself. And then it wasn't until I came over to America in 1999 that I became certified as a dog trainer.
So I think one of the reasons that I've been a fan of yours and why so many people really do love you, it's because you really believe in positive reinforcement. And I always feel, if you are kind to something, then that's what they'll give you back. And that's along the same lines as far as what you do with the dogs.
Yes. The reason why I use it is just across the board. It's more humane. But also it's because it's the best way for your dog to truly learn and be successful and be confident and listen to you. And, dog training has come on leaps and bounds since the 1920s, when the idea of training your dog became popular. But unfortunately, about 10 years ago here in the States, and since then, it's sort of the old traditional style of training enjoyed a resurgence, which kind of pervaded the public consciousness that, in fact, the only way you could train your dog was to be your dog's pack leader, be dominant over your dog, get your dog to submit to you, and that's the way your dog would behave. And so the techniques used to do that are very confrontational. And they work to a point. I'm not saying they don't. They do work to a point, but the trust is damaged, and because of the confrontational relationship, your dog can be more insecure and more anxious, and insecurity and anxious can provoke aggressive response. So the old traditional style of training really builds up a relationship based on force more than the positive reinforcement, which builds up a relationship based on cooperation. And that, you're free to choose. Anybody's free to choose. Our poor dogs can't choose, but anybody's free to choose the method they want to use. But this is the method that I prefer because I get results.
And thus your slogan is, kindness is powerful, so pass it on. And that's something that stood out to me when I went to your website, which is, by the way, for those of you listening, is the positively.com. And Victoria will have more information to share with you later on in the show. Victoria, I also want to mention many years ago, well, maybe not that many, when I was watching you on the television, I was really excited because you made it very clear to one couple that it was their bad behavior that was, and perhaps I shouldn't say their bad behavior, so help me with this so I don't get it incorrect. They were not being regiment with their dog training. In other words, they were allowing their dog some days to do what they were supposed to do, and then other days they were kind of slacking. And you said to them, you have to be consistent so the dog knows what you want. Do I have that right? Am I remembering? I know you're saying, Lisa, what show are you talking about?
Yeah, well, you're absolutely right. You really are absolutely right. It is consistency. And remember, dogs don't speak our language. And so we have to communicate with them via the few words that they can understand, that we teach them to understand, our body language, and the way that we just carry on in everyday life. And so what you do as a person will really be reflected in your dog. And so I think what people do is not being malicious or unpleasant or intending to be unkind or or confusing. I just think they just don't know. And so when they blame the dog for behaviors that have really been caused by themselves, sometimes it's hard for people to see that. But when they do see that and then they change their behavior and they change the way they interact with the dog, they see a change in the dog.
Right.
And it's not, and then they say, oh, you're such a miracle worker. I'm not. I'm just saying, I'm kind of putting things into perspective, because it's difficult when you're living with a dog full time to see you're with your dog. You're emotionally involved. So you need an outside eye to come in and go, have you tried this? Or have you tried that? And maybe you can change what you're doing there. And that's my job, because there is I'm a trainer and I am important in that dog's life, but the most important trainer and teacher in the dog's life is the person who lives with that dog 24/7.
So, Victoria, in your opinion, because I have 3 labs and I'm always excited. Just yesterday, I was out and about somewhere and a gentleman said, well, do you have any kids? And I, got this big smile on my face. And I said, yeah, let me show you. So I go to pull out my phone and he's like, oh, you have pictures. And so I'm like, yes. And so I showed him the pictures of my 3 dogs, and he gets a big smile on his face. He says, hey, I have fur kids too. And so he pulls out his phone. And so now we have this whole dialogue going, about our fur kids. So one of the things that's amazing to me, people are like, how do you do it with 3 dogs? Well, our 3rd dog, we adopted him. We were actually only going to foster him for, a while until we found him a good home. But we fell in love with him after 12 hours that we just kind of added him to our family. And he was about 9 months old. We're not really sure, 9 months to a year old when we got him. And he fell in line right away. But one of the things that his original owner had said was he was a bad dog. He was constantly digging and he would counter-surf. And we figured out that it wasn't necessarily bad behavior. He was a puppy, so he liked to play. But more importantly, he was counter-surfing because they weren't feeding him enough as a puppy. And he was only getting like 2 meals a day as a puppy. At least our vet had recommended, that he got his 3 meals a day. So it was very, exciting for us to be able to adopt him as part of our family. But sometimes I look at people and they want to throw in the towel right away because they don't know what to expect. And so I think that's why someone like yourself is so wonderful doing what it is that you do, because you're educating people along the way so they can have a wonderful relationship with their pet. So if someone is looking to adopt a dog, are there things that you as an animal behaviorist want to have them look for in particular?
Yeah, I really take a look at your own lifestyle and see what kind of dog might fit into that lifestyle. Similarly, what can you offer a certain breed or mixed breed of dog? Because it's not a one-sided relationship. You have to be the right kind of family for that right kind of dog. So if you're a high-energy family, you're always out, you're hiking, and you're busy and you do a lot of good things, and then you can get a higher energy breed, a border collie or some sort of terrier or something. But if you're more of a low-energy family, then consider getting a mixed breed or breed that is right for that energy level. But time is important as well. What upsets me is that, and I understand, but I think it's also very selfish that you've got that single person that is working 10 hours a day and they get a puppy. And then they wonder why the puppy is peeing everywhere and chewing everything. And then, of course, they get annoyed and then the pup ends up in a shelter. And we see that happening time and time again. And that could be avoided if you just sat down and thought, do I really have time for a dog? Because there's a reason why we call them our fur kids. I have a child and 2 fur kids. And the reason why, they're fur kids is because I've had both. Bringing a new puppy into your home can be as time-consuming as having a new baby. And they require that time to be house-trained and to discover the world and be successful, and you have to give them that time. So that's my advice is do your research before and make it a head and a heart decision, not just a heart decision.
Right. Well, Victoria, I'm going to take a break, but when we come back, if you don't mind, I would love it if you would share your opinions about, one, if you are someone who loves animals and I know that every day we get a story in our inbox of an animal or animals that need help in various parts of the world, in our own neighborhoods. What do you think we, as one that want to be many, what do you think that we can do on an individual basis to try and help solve the problem of so many animals ending up in shelters? And what can we do nicely to assist our neighbors in regards to being a good pet parent? I know that I think I'm a good pet parent. Everyone always says, oh, your animals are so well behaved. I know their little secrets because they're my fur children. But we do spend a lot of time with them trying to make sure that they, get their exercise and all of that. So I'd love when we come back from break for you just to give your opinion on what might be a nice thing that we can do as individuals to kind of help, pass it on and get people excited about being good pet parents. And we never want to bash anyone. So I'm sure you have some really wonderful advice for us. So listen, we're gonna take a quick break. See, I get so excited, Victoria, I start stuttering. We're gonna take a quick break and then we'll be right back.
Your Pet's My Dog's trivia question for today is...
JP, thanks for joining us with the trivia factoid question of the day. What you got?
All right, Lisa, when your cat rubs up against you all nice and everything, what are they really doing?
Okay, PG show. What are they doing? Cats rubbing against you? They're just saying hello.
Well, kind of, but they're actually just marking you as theirs. They are making you theirs.
Ta-da!
And if you put your head down there and they kind of bump up, give you a little head bump, nose bump, it's a sign of acceptance and affection. They really love you.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Well, thank you, JP, for that very interesting trivia factoid question of the day.
Amazing Pet Expos is coming to a city near you. Admission is always free, and your pet is welcome. Shopping, adoptions, free nail trims, discounted shots and microchipping, agility, a pet costume contest, and much more. Plus, meet the guys from Animal Planet's hit TV series Tank and Pit Boss. Online at AmazingPetExpos.com.
Bring your pets to the Pet Expo.
Hi, Jill. I see you and Bella are enjoying this lovely day as well.
It's a perfect day for a walk. Isn't that right, Bella?
And what a colorful ID tag you have, Bella. It certainly puts my Rusty's boring engraved tag to shame.
Isn't it great? It's a dog tag art tag.
Dog tag art?
Yeah, dog tag art makes the world's coolest pet ID tags. Pick from hundreds of cute designs or upload your photos or artwork to create a unique tag of your own. They even give you 4 lines of text on the back of the tag for important contact information.
I love it! But do they hold up? We have to replace Rusty's metal tags so often because the information wears away.
Dog tag art tags are some of the highest quality pet tags out there. They're made with super durable stainless steel. Your information is always legible and the tags are guaranteed for life.
Well, I'm sold. Where can I get my dog tag art tag for Rusty?
DogTagArt.com. Shopping there is so easy and fun. You're sure to find one that matches Rusty's personality perfectly.
Sounds great! We can't wait to get online and get a tag of our own.
DogTagArt.com. We keep best friends together. Use the coupon code RADIO for a 25% discount off any tag.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
This is Your Pets, My Dogs, and I'm your host, Lisa Smith-Putnam, and we have with us in the studio today, well, actually not with us. I wish Miss Victoria Stilwell was sitting here with us, but she's on the line, so it's the next best thing. Victoria, before we went to break, I was asking you, or at least kind of getting you prepped, if you would share with us how, or what should I say, I'm trying to be polite here, we all think we're great pet owners, and I'm sure there's room for improvement across the board. But what are some things that we can do to encourage people, if we see bad parenting behavior, what can we do to encourage folks to be good pet owners, so to speak?
Avoid criticism. I think that's really important, because as soon as you criticize somebody, you put their backs up and they won't learn at all. They will become defensive. So I sort of always broach the subject by saying, oh, I see that you're having a little difficulty doing this. Hey, do you hear about this? And, or maybe that equipment, or if the dog's got a piece of equipment that it's not working and it's pulling on the lead and it's hurting its throat, or because it's got a choke collar or a prong collar, which I really don't like, then, I'll tell them the truth. I'll say, look, I see you're having a bit of difficulty and I can help you. And I just tell them the choke collars, and those collars lie at the base of the neck, which causes trauma to the thyroid gland and really affects the health and wellness of your dog's body. So here is an alternative. So I always offer alternatives. Here is something that you can use that, hey, did you know that really helps?
Right.
And then that's putting a positive light on it. Obviously, though, if I'm seeing somebody that is mistreating their dog, or has their dog tied out in the backyard, or is not, I will call the proper authorities to come deal with it.
Love it.
I'm a pretty outspoken person, and I cannot stand to see cruelty in any kind of way, shape, or form. So I think that if you see that kind of thing, you need to get the authorities involved rather than dealing with it yourself. Maybe contact your local rescue shelter and find out what you can do, and speak out, speak up.
Well, and that's excellent advice, and I thank you for sharing that with us, because I know that over the years, we've seen animals, out in the rain and snow and frankly, the hot sun, that have no shelter, no water, and we have called the authorities. And in one case, yes, and I'm not an advocate of this, ladies and gentlemen, but we actually rescued a dog because for several months, we didn't see this dog getting any attention, and it was matted. You could see that it was matted and all of this, and it was in an area where we would be walking our dogs, and he would go to the top of the stairs and just cry out. And so, we did have to get the authorities involved, but for whatever reason, they weren't acting fast enough. And we literally, Victoria thought this dog was going to die. So we rescued it and got it all cleaned up, and then actually, found a good home. And we went and talked to the owners, and they didn't want the dog anyway. It was kind of came with the house. And those are always sad stories for us to hear, and I'm sure you see a lot of those, unfortunately.
I do see a lot of that, and I've worked a lot with animal control, and I've worked a lot in abuse cases. I do a lot of dog bite prevention work as well, and I used as an expert witness for dog bite cases and cruelty cases as well. So I do see a lot of it. I myself too have liberated. I'd say liberated.
I like that.
that nobody did anything. So actually during some filming of It's Another Dog, I liberated 2 huskies that were in a house that was in foreclosure, and there was nobody in the house, yet they came to see them once a week. And these huskies are living in Georgia in the hot sun. So nobody's going to do anything. So I liberated, and then when the owners found out, and one of them wanted the dogs gone, and the other one wanted to keep the dogs for some strange reason, even though they weren't living in the house. They threatened to sue me. I said, "Well, go ahead." And but I don't advocate that you go do that. You just walk onto somebody's property and take them. However, I think, like you said, if you're really fearful that an animal's dying and there's nobody that's around that's going to be able to help you, then with the best of intentions, I think it's your duty to help an animal in distress. And if that's what you need to do, that's what you need to do.
So, Victoria, so many animals, and it's very unfortunate, but so many animals are ending up, as you said, and in houses that have been abandoned, and they're just hoping the animal goes with the house or whatever. Or I've heard of stories, where people just turn their animals loose because they don't want to take them to their new house, or they're tired of them, or whatever it is. And a lot of them, people just leave them at the shelters. So what can we do to try and help solve this issue? Because it's growing, it's increasing. And to follow up with that, if you're looking for a new dog, where do you suggest, if you have any, should they go to a breeder? Should they go to the shelter? What about a pet store? So, if you could share your thoughts on that, I know we would be very excited to hear those.
I think it's about education, and it's about carrying on to try and educate people that dogs aren't disposable property, that they are living, breathing, emotional, feeling beings, and that they're not just bits of property that can be discarded. They rely on us 100% for their safety and their survival. Most dogs are no longer wild. They couldn't survive in the wild, and therefore they need us to take care of them. So I think it is education, and I think it's education in schools, getting kids at a young age so they grow up with this idea of how important animals are. And I truly believe in humane education, that when you teach a child to be responsible and to have feelings for animals, that also translates towards human beings as well. That's part of the reason why we did the Kindness is Powerful logo, because we're teaching kids that kindness, being a bully is not powerful, being a bully is weakness, but kindness is powerful towards animals and towards your fellow human beings. And so that's an important message. But if you want to find a dog, as you mentioned, Lisa, there are so many dogs ending up in shelters. Mm-hmm. So that needs to be your first place where you go, because if you rescue a dog from a shelter, not only are you getting that dog from a shelter, you're also freeing space up for another life to be saved. So you're doing double duty, right? That's what I say. You're saving two lives for the price of one.
True.
And not all shelter dogs have behavioral issues. They turn up there because of foreclosure, or because of family circumstance, or because they're no longer wanted. And you have amazing dogs at shelters. And so that's where I always say go there first. Now, if you can't find, you love a breed and you can't find a particular breed at a shelter, then try and find a breed rescue group. There are rescue groups that really just concentrate and focus on one breed. Now, if you decide that you want to get a purebred dog, can't find them in a shelter or at a breed rescue, then I would say find a registered breeder that is a good breeder. Be careful about going on the internet. Be careful about meeting anybody in a parking lot or buying outside of Walmart or any of these places. Make sure that this breeder is recommended, that has all the health tests, that is concerned about where the dog wants to go, that you go see the puppy with the mother, and that you get a really good idea of this breeder and the pups. Because you don't want to be feeding into puppy mills, and this is where avoid pet stores at all costs. Now, it doesn't matter if your pet store says, oh, these dogs aren't from puppy mills. No self-respecting breeder is going to sell their puppy to a pet store. Mm-hmm. That period. It just does not happen. So that pet store is selling pups from a backyard breeder, or worse, from a puppy mill, where there is no concern for health or temperament, or where the adults are neglected and live in absolute abject horror for the whole of their lives until they're discarded. Don't buy into it. So that's why I say go to a reputable shelter. Do not buy into the whole pet store idea, because you will be helping those puppy millers line their pockets with just more cash on the misery of millions of animals in this country.
So, Victoria, do you think that a quote-unquote, and I hesitate to say this because I think that me personally, and you as the expert, feel free to correct me truthfully on this, because I feel that there aren't any bad dogs. It's just the bad pet owners. So do you feel that if a dog is considered, quote unquote, a bad dog, can they be rehabilitated?
Most dogs can, and it's interesting because we all use the word bad, and I like it that you sort of use quotes on it because it's just behavior. It might not be behavior that we like, but it's just behavior, and it's the dog trying to cope within its environment. There's this whole idea again amongst the traditional dog training camp that dogs behave badly in order to irritate you and try and become top dog or pack leader, and if you don't put that dog on its side or show it who's boss, and the dog's going to overtake and be dominant over you and overtake your life. And that is the most absurd thing I've ever heard. That is such a human idea, and it absolutely doesn't, it's not what a dog does. A dog comes into your home, and really a dog is like any animal. It's trying to be safe and to survive. And if you don't direct its behavior into a positive way and instill boundaries in a positive way and teach them how to learn by your rules and learn the rules of your home, then a dog is just going to behave. And that's just the way it is, whether that's good behavior or bad behavior. The dog will behave in the way that it knows how. So you have to be your dog's advocate and your dog's teacher. And keep your dog safe and give your dog confidence. And then you'll reap the rewards. And yes, does it take a bit of time? Yeah, it does. It takes a bit of time and it takes a bit of effort. But you put that time and effort at the front end as soon as you get your dog, and you reinforce throughout your dog's life, you're going to have a very happy, harmonious life. As you say with your 3 dogs, they all have their little behavioral traits. They do. My dogs do too. But I have to still be their guide to say, you know what, can't do that. But why don't we do this instead? And dogs are very, very smart. I mean, we're now learning more about dogs than that they can do things that we didn't even think that was possible. And so dogs have always been dogs. It's just taking humans a long time to truly understand them, but because we don't speak their language, we have to rely on great scientific research to tell us.
Right. And I wish I had the exact study, and I don't, because I just saw it on the news yesterday, and I was running, so I wasn't able to, Victoria, actually try and go look it up and find out the source. So if you know, please let me know. But just recently they were talking about, and Bill, you might remember, because we talked about this a little bit yesterday. The study mentioned that humans have the, what's the word, Bill?
Oxytocin.
Thank you. The oxytocin is the same that a human will have for its dog as a mother has for its baby.
Yes. In fact, extensive studies have been done in Sweden and in Japan. But in Sweden, there's a wonderful researcher, doctor called Dr. Olnus Moberg, and she's kind of the oxytocin queen. And what they did was they did studies in, they took blood from dogs before they were pet, and then after a certain amount, a good 10 to 15 minutes of being pet by their owner. And they found out that the levels of oxytocin in the blood were raised after a petting session. And also studies in Japan have showed that oxytocin levels are raised even when people come through the door at the end of the day. So not only will it raise your oxytocin levels, it will also raise your dog's oxytocin levels. And oxytocin is really important. It's that bonding hormone, that chemical that bonds us, that allows us to recognize each other too. Without it, a mother would not want its baby and would not recognize its baby. And so oxytocin is really important. So I call it the attachment, love, and bonding hormone. And yes, dogs indeed have it. So do we, and we have it when we look at our dogs. They have it when they look at us, and that's what bonds us so tightly.
Oh, absolutely. And I always tell people, as pet lovers, what took everyone so long to find out that, there's absolutely something going on there. And I tell you, I love it. I tell people, Victoria, I can leave my house for a minute, an hour, or a couple of hours. And no matter how long that duration is, when I walk in the door, my dogs act like they haven't seen me in a year. That's how much excitement and love that they have. And I love it. And when I have to go on a trip, I try not to be gone too long, specifically because of my animals. But I try and do my best, and feel free to say, Lisa, you're just being silly. But I try to do my best to communicate to them the best way I know how, to tell them how long I'm going to be gone. And before I bring any luggage in the house or whatever, I always, when I come back, I will walk in the door specifically to sit down in the living room or kitchen and just love on my dogs for about an hour. And they enjoy that. And then I'll bring in my luggage and all that good stuff.
And I think that's lovely. And I think that's, people say, well, your dogs, why do you talk to your dogs? Your dogs can understand you. They can understand words, and they can understand the tone of your voice. And I think actually talking to your dogs is really important. They might not understand everything you're saying, of course, but the tone that you're using, it's very soothing. I talk to my dogs all the time. I carry on a conversation with my dogs when we're outside, when we're walking, and they look at me, and I think it just brings them confidence, and it attaches me to them, and it increases their desire to listen to me. So, and I want to stress that how important positive is, because it's not just about feeding treats to your dog, or you do create boundaries for your dog, but you use discipline to guide rather than instill fear. And the positive works on all kinds of dogs, whether you've got a high drive breed, German Shepherd or Belgian Malinois, or you're doing high drive work, because I work with the police force as well, so I've seen both sides of how high drive dogs are trained using very harsh methods, but also the successes of seeing dogs that are trained, these high drive working dogs trained using positive methods. So positive method can be used for any kind of dog, for any kind of issue, and aggression being one of them where we see the most success.
Wow. Well, I'll let you know in secret, when we're out walking, especially when we're in Seattle, most of the time, not all the time, it's raining. And so we will go walking, and I will sing, and my boys will chime in on the chorus of all the rain songs that we know. They'll start, oh. So that's one of our favorite things to do when we're out and about outside. Victoria, where can our audience find, more information about you? And before I let you go, please tell us what you're up to these days.
Yes, well, I am, what am I up to so much?
A lot.
I have, we're always working on the website to improve the website, but we have a wonderful group of licensed trainers here in the United States. And so if you need a trainer in your area, please go and visit positively.com/trainers, where hopefully you'll be able to find a trainer in your area. If not, we also offer phone consultations. And, these trainers have been personally assessed by me, and they are brilliant with dogs and brilliant with humans as well. And so, you're getting somebody that is going to use humane, effective methods with your dog. I'm just about to start writing my 4th book. This is going to be, I can't exactly tell you what it is, but it's very exciting, and it's really going to help pet people with their dogs and understand their dogs better. So I'm in the process of doing that. I'm going to be actually going to back to England for about 3-4 months this summer to film a brand new show that we hope is going to be shown over here in the States. But it's a brand new show centering on the intelligence of dogs, which is very exciting. But I also do a lot of web series. And if you go to my site or go to my YouTube channel, which is just youtube.com/Victoria Stilwell, you'll be able to see my new show, which is on arson dogs, my new web series, which is on arson dogs. And arson dogs are better known as accelerant detection dogs, but these are the dogs that are trained to go in after a fire to detect if the fire has been started deliberately.
Oh, wow.
So I join a group of fire marshals as they go through the training process with these dogs, and then take these dogs back to the places in the United States where they work. It's a wonderful series. State Farm is fantastic. They run this program. They have done for over 20 years, and it's these dogs and these handlers are phenomenal. And I'm also working on another web series called Guardians of the Night with the Gwinnett County Sheriff's Canine Unit and other canine units around the world, where we're exploring whether these high-drive dogs can be trained in a positive way. Unfortunately, in America here, a lot of police forces still use a lot of shock and prong and really bad methods to train their dogs, and we're exploring And they say that these dogs can't be trained in a positive way, whereas in England and a lot of parts of Europe, in fact, most police forces do train their dogs without shock, without prongs or chokes or any of them, and they have the highest, most effective dogs that you could possibly want for that job. So we're also working with various units to show how these dogs can be taught in a better way, and how. And so I've really been working with K9 now for over a year, and I'm with them on all of their call-outs, experiencing everything that these amazing police officers deal with, and it really is incredible. And I have such respect for law enforcement and what they do to keep our community safe. And I think you can only really do that if you experience their life 24/7 for a good amount of time. So you'll be able to see that. We hope to get the web series up by the end of the year. And there's other things, but then I don't take too much of your time. So that's basically it.
Well, we love that you joined us here, so you take as much time as you would like. But one of the things I want to make sure that I just say to you again, you are... One, not only are you a wonderful and beautiful person inside, but you also radiate that outside and vice versa. And so very excited that you have, kind of taken up the flag, not just coast to coast, but, across oceans to try and help the animals on a worldwide level, and what it is that you're doing, trying to do the positive reinforcement. It's so nice, especially with so many unfortunate, I like to say, yucky pooey things that are happening in the world today. It's nice when you have someone, as I say, speaking that language of love, trying to get the animals with the humans to be in that one accord. So very nice and very wonderful that you are doing that. So Victoria, again, positively.com/trainers is that correct, for anyone who is looking for a trainer in their area?
Yes.
And the wonderful thing is that you mentioned is all of these people you've kind of handpicked, so they know that they have your blessing and they are going to be very knowledgeable and full of the same love that you have for what it is that you are doing. And I think that's so important. And I want to encourage people to go to your website, not only for not only does it look good, but it is very informative. I spent some time on it this past week looking at all the different things that you had. And Victoria, sometimes you go to a website and there's just so much stuff, you kind of go, and then you just want to get out of there. But on your website, there is a lot of information, but it's laid out quite nicely, and anyone, I think I'm probably from 1 to 10, I'm probably around a 5 as far as my capability, as far as technology goes. So even I was able to follow your site very easily and find a lot of good information about what you're doing.
Good, thank you. We tried to make the site that as easy to navigate as possible. So there are a lot of resources there, and there's a lot of great studies that you can read, and anything you really want to know about dog behavior is there, and a support system, because that's what I believe. Pet parents, they need a support system. We all do. We all do for whether we're raising dogs or raising kids or raising both. We need a support system out there. So that's why we wanted to provide this website, so that people could watch videos to see how it's done, as well as, and I've got lots of training videos, and just to be there for people when they needed information.
Well, fantastic. Well, I want to thank you, Miss Victoria Stilwell, for joining us here on the Your Pets, My Dogs radio show. And again, your slogan of kindness is powerful, pass it on. Thank you for sharing your wonderful kindness with us here. And hopefully with this interview, we are able to pass it on to those that might take a listen. And then hopefully they'll pass it on and so forth. But we want to welcome you to come back anytime, share with us your new book, your new series, and just kind of keep us updated in the wonderful things that you're doing. And if there's anything that we can ever do to assist and help, then we can. And I think it just starts with one person kind of, picking up the torch and taking, as you have on your website, the pledge, so to speak, to try and just kind of increase the positive reinforcement all around.
Thank you very much. I do appreciate and love your understanding of what we're trying to do, and your passion as well as a pet parent. No, I think it takes a village, and yeah, maybe I have you have a platform, I have a platform, and we can sort of raise awareness and help educate and give people information, give them easy access to information, which I, as a pet parent, need as much as anybody else. So, thank you for what you do as well, and thank you for having me on your show.
Oh, absolutely. Well, you've been listening to Your Pets, My Dogs. I'm your host, Lisa Smith-Putnam, and that was the wonderful, fabulous author, television star, and we will call her star because she's a star in our eyes and hopefully yours as well, Miss Victoria Stilwell. Again, her website, positively.com. And if you put in the /trainer, you can find trainers in your area. But go there even if you're not looking for a trainer, because there's so much other information in regards to Victoria and dog training that you will find very interesting. So take care and have a fantastic day, week, and we will, well, I guess we won't really see you, but you will hear from us very soon. All righty, everyone. Go get out now with your dog and have some fun. Take care. Now, you know I could not leave without thanking you, my wonderful listening audience. Just wanted to say thank you to you. We have listeners all the way from New York City down to South Africa over to India. That's how far we reach. You can find us at yourpetsmydogs.com. Shoot us an email if you've got a question or thought process for us. We're always there for you. And let me not forget to thank my wonderful studio staff. That would be our wonderful engineer and sometimes information sidekick. That'd be Bill Guy. Also Jeffrey Putnam in the world of trivia. And our announcer, Donald Jr. Well, I will see you, or better yet, hear you. You'll hear me next week. I am Lisa Smith-Putnam, and you're listening to Your Pets, My Dogs. All I have to say is rough to you. Your Pets, My Dogs is produced and owned by Lisa Smith-Putnam Productions.
Your Pets, My Dogs.
Your Pets, My Dogs.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.